How's it going, everybody? Welcome back into the Celtics Talk Weekly Postgame Show. I am your host, Rob Eitan. Joined with me are all my phenomenal co-hosts, Franco, Justin Lowe, Seamus Arlen. Guys, thank you so much again for joining us here. The Celtics, they win an interesting one at home, 125 to 117. A lot of offense in this game, guys. Some things we can dive into. Obviously, some trade news today regarding the Boston Celtics and Grizzlies forward/center Xavier Tillman. We're going to dabble in that. However, before we get started, I'm just going to say, tomorrow, guys, we are live all day during the trade deadline. The Celtics Talk Weekly annual trade deadline special is here. Catch us, come in, hang out. It's going to be a chilled, laid back streams. We're reporting all the news, giving our thoughts. I mean, it's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. You know, I think when you like talking basketball, something you love to do is just kind of sit back, chill. It's a little less formal, a little less scripted because you don't know what's going to happen. So again, come in for that. But guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Kristaps, great game. D White turned it up in the fourth. And then Tatum, I know Justin down below me has some thoughts and some words for Jason tonight. But guys, you know the drill. Before we get started, let's just go around your initial thoughts, your reactions, and the Celtics win tonight.
Tonight was just a great win all around. I think we had a solid matchup tonight. I mean, Atlanta was without Murray or Clint Capella, which was a huge advantage for the Boston Celtics tonight. Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford looking like the first time we signed them. Al Horford. I mean, what was it? One game in the past 5 days, so he is well rested, and if we can see that type of production, he has proven his worth to this team for this playoff run. And it was a very tight knit battle. I mean, Atlanta's offense was keeping up with the Celtics offense for reasons led by Tatum, but we were able to take advantage of the Atlanta defense most of the night with going to the rim. We were getting our looks that we wanted. Derek White in the fourth quarter had that chip on his shoulder with playing against the man who got chosen over him in the All-Star race. Trae Young got a great shot in the fourth quarter to seal the game, and I'm looking forward to what goes on tomorrow. Once again, I think this team is going to do more addition than subtraction.
Go ahead, Justin.
I think with the Celtics game tonight, I feel like the Celtics had control of this game pretty much all night, but I also feel like the Hawks were right there all night. And it was one of those games, and I would put it like this game was a track meet, right? Like this game was a game of runs. These guys, you heard Mike and Scal kind of say this kind of feels like the All-Star game. Like it's not that there's no defense being played, but at the same time, both teams are getting to the basket with these. We saw a very high-scoring game in the points in the paint tonight. I think Boston had 58, which is their second highest all season. Their highest was 66. So this was just one of those types of games where Atlanta always gives Boston kind of that muck it up type feel like Toronto does, right? Rob, we mentioned that in the podcast as well yesterday about this Atlanta team. But for me, we're going to get into it. I'm going to get into it. I'm not going to shy away from it. But tonight was a game that Jason Tatum shouldn't have shot 13 3-pointers, and he just kept shooting them. And every time he shot a 3-pointer, it was contested, and it wasn't even remotely close. And it just irked me. And then we'd get an offensive rebound, and what would happen? Oh, Tatum would shoot another three, just as if we didn't have enough. 13 threes tonight on 21 shot attempts. 13 of them were 3-point shots. When 6'10", 225-pound Jason Tatum gets to the hoop, the Celtics are unstoppable. Jason Tatum is unstoppable. Get to the freaking hoop, JT. We saw it tonight. There were moments when Jason Tatum got to the hoop. There were moments when Jason Tatum got to the hoop with ease. We talked about it in the podcast yesterday. The Celtics seem to strive away from things when things are working. Why was Jason Tatum standing at the 3-point line shooting 3-point shots? And a lot of them were contested. Go back and look at the film. That's all I got, Seamus.
I mean, I don't know if I have too much to say after you, Justin, because tonight's game, you said a lot about Jason Tatum in tonight's one, but I believe the Celtics coming off of what was essentially 5 days rest, because let's face it, the Sunday game against the Grizzlies, that wasn't even a game. We played 2 standard players on Sunday and had 2 days of rest in between that day before the game and after the game. And coming into tonight, I wasn't particularly impressed with the Celtics defense at times. However, I think their offensive execution was there at times tonight, except for who you talked about, Justin, Mr. Jason Tatum, our best player. And I don't want to be concerned about this because I know what Tatum's capabilities are, and we are complaining about ultimately him not doing something that we know he's capable of. But tonight's game, this is a game where the Celtics could have blown out the Hawks. It could have happened. But at the end, it was really just a slow, methodical bleed out. You knew Atlanta, likely with their size, wasn't going to be able to get a stop in this contest, and the Celtics were. And that's how most of Atlanta's games go. The entire season, Atlanta plays games up and down the court, and at the end, Atlanta cannot get a stop, and their opponent can. It's every single contest, and the Celtics were a part of it tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm not particularly impressed with this performance overall because of what Jason Tatum put out and because of Drew Holiday not being in the lineup as well has something to do with how the Celtics played tonight defensively, I believe. But I think the Celtics need to be more sound. It goes in line with a lot of what we've been talking about lately. But I will give them some leeway tonight because I believe they were a lot better than they were against the Memphis Grizzlies on Sunday at respecting their opponent and engaging their opponent, and also coming into this match knowing that they're going to be running up and down the floor. But at points in this game, I didn't like the defense and I didn't like the offensive shot selection when I thought our execution was quite high going to certain mismatches down in the lower post and in the paint tonight. So at the end of this game, it's great that we got a win. It's another one of those wins where we theme it with a win where we go, oh, wasn't the greatest. We were all right. A lot of our guys played well. We still came out with the win, and we need to be better moving forward, but you just like that we came out with the dub.
This tells me a lot about the coaching staff. In a game against the Atlanta Hawks, you shoot 49 threes. 49 threes, 44 twos. You were shot 72% from two. You shot 34% from three. I don't want to come in here sound like a Debbie Downer, right? It's not what I want to do. It's not what I'm about. But again, I got to be real with myself and I got to be real with everyone. That's concerning. That's concerning. We won. You're correct, right? Absolutely. It was a good win at home, right? You got back. It was a solid win. I should call it a good win. But at the end of the day, this tells me that we will never steer away from our original game plan. That we are going to live or die off of if that 3-point shot goes in. We should have won this game by 20, at least. This Atlanta team is the worst defensive team in the league. They rank below 28th or below in pretty much every defensive metric there is in basketball. Their point guard is 6'2". It's 175 soaking wet. And Jason Tatum takes 13 threes. Again, not all with Joe, right? Tatum's got to be better. No doubt. Tatum's the one taking the shots. No doubt. But when your star player is doing that, your head coach needs to go over to him and get him straight, get him right. And I'm sorry, I'm done making and beating around the bush. It's concerning. I get it. We're 39-12, but there are real problems that the Celtics are just winning off talent. Just talent. There is no, I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Offensively, it is fire away. It is just fire away. And if it goes in, great, we're going to beat them by 30. But if not, we're going to play around with our food. It's like, what happens when you go up against a coach like Mike Malone or Spoelstra or Ty Lue, right, who have been there, who have done it, who have a ring? Teams come into Boston and they think to themselves, dear God, please let them shoot a lot of threes tonight. That's the lowest percentage shot on the court, and they're okay with a starting lineup of average 3-point shooters outside of Drew Holiday shooting threes. It's just the truth. And listen, you can blame whoever you want. You can blame the players for shooting them, or you can blame, but the head coach, he is the head coach. You run the basketball team. It is your system. So this is the first time I've been like this all year, but I'm a 49 threes. 49. I mean, are you serious? Can we seriously not? Are you serious? I posted this onto Twitter. Jason Tatum and I at halftime was 1 of 9 from 3. 1 of 9. You are just there was one play in particular where Derek White and Jason Tatum ran a high pick and roll at the wing. White ran the action on Trae Young to get Sadiq Bey switched on to White, into Trae Young switched on to Tatum at the high key. Tatum got the ball against Trae Young, did a jab step pull up 3.
And you know it's coming too.
Right. And at this point, this basketball team, right? I have waited. I really haven't given my final assessment on them. 25 games and I've never really did. I'm going to do it right now. because quite frankly, this team can absolutely win the championship. No doubt in my mind they can do it, but it will be the players doing it. Joe Mazzulla, I'm sorry, not the guy. And you can't, not saying fire him, right? You can't fire him because at the end of the day, you got to roll with what you got. Not saying fire him. I would hate that. That would piss me off, right? Because again, continuity. I do think there's some things he does okay. I think defensively, I think the position he has Drew Holiday playing is very solid. I like that free safety type of, box and one set that they run sometimes, and the freedom that, but I mean, 49 threes, guys, that's all I need to know, man. That's all I need to know. That's all. This month and a half is all I need to know on Joe Mazzulla.
I love that you mentioned Mike Malone, Rob, because I believe our flaws of this entire team when it comes to actually winning a championship, and it's a very fine margin at the end of the day, right? It came out in that fourth quarter against the Denver Nuggets at home when we lost our streak at home. And in that game, I believed that down the stretch, the Denver Nuggets clearly owned an identity offensively. The Celtics did not. The Celtics looked hectic down the stretch in that game, chucking up shots and not really going to any specific set. Whereas Denver, they know exactly what they're doing. Two-man game. Jamal Murray, Jokic. We're either going to post Jokic up on the high post or on the low block, or we're going to run the pick and roll with Murray and Jokic at the top of the key. That is what we're doing, and we're clearing out one side of the floor.
Why? Why are they doing that? And I know you're going to answer this. Absolutely. Why are they doing that?
Because they know it's a guaranteed bucket every single time.
It's their strength. It's the coaching going to the player's strength. Yes. Oh my God.
And this team, that is, I am with you because. Wait, were you on last post game, Rob? Again,
no, I was.
You were at the game Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were at the game, but this would be game 50 since you weren't on last game because last game was game 50. It's game 51, so this is like your double 25 game assessment.
25. Yes.
I would say this is a little concerning at this point that we see a game like this transpire and our stars can't help themselves. Now, I shouldn't say Jaylen Brown in this matchup because he was 7 of 11. He took two threes.
Right.
But Jason Tatum, the 13 3-pointers in this game, and Joe Mazzulla, I keep picturing Joe Mazzulla in my mind walking over to the bench, disappointed. And this is where I almost feel for Joe Mazzulla being thrusted into this role. He could be saying the right things. We have no idea. He could be saying all of the right things, scheming up the right things. But then our stars go out there.
Can I just say something? I hate to interrupt you, but listen, all you need to know with this guy is that he doesn't call timeouts to let the players figure it out.
The players know what's going on the court more than he does.
But he's the coach. Your job is to figure it out. That's what you get paid for.
Also, one player has a ring on this team. I believe one, right? Drew Holiday.
Like, it's just like, and I know we won. And I know this might sound obscure, but it's like I was listening to the NBC Sports Boston team. Who was it against? I forget. They said word for word, Mazzulla's gonna let them figure it out. What? It's like that concept alone, that concept right there is the fact that you didn't learn from from last series against the Miami Heat, what happened in the second quarter in games 1 and 2. The fact that you couldn't learn, I mean, come on, man. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean I don't think the Celtics can be a championship team. But Joe Mazzulla, he's not a good coach. He just isn't. And you can call me crazy. You can bring up statistics and analytics to point out the records and the stats and the Mazzulla ball, and Mazzulla ball rocks when they're hitting their threes. But guess what? Celtics are 36% of the time making threes. So you can skew it up however you want. However, we got to get the direction of the show going here because there was some good. Mr. Kristaps Porzingis was awesome tonight. 31 points in 31 minutes. Just an absolute dominance from him. And Justin, I do think that when you look at this year's team and last year's teams, you can compare them, but really the difference is this guy. This is what makes this team so good. The ability to dump it down to Kristaps and get a bucket.
We haven't had a guy like Kristaps Porzingis. This is exactly the type of player that we've been missing all these years. tried it with the Kelly Olynyk, the 7-footer who can stretch the floor. We've tried it with the Enes Freedom, the rebounding center. We've tried it with all these different centers, and it just didn't work. And Kristaps Porzingis comes in and just so dominant on both ends of the floor, and he just opens up this floor so well, especially for guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He's just a seamless fit for this roster. He doesn't have to do anything to deter a shot. He just has to stand there. His 7'4" body is enough. And I think I really wish the Celtics used Kristaps Porzingis more down the stretch. Like, right. I get it. Jason Tatum is, your centerpiece of your franchise, and arguably you're the best player on the team. But when Kristaps Porzingis has it going, he is just unbelievable in his ability to rise up over defenders. He just makes 6'8" players, 6'9" players just so puny, right? Like, he could just turn around and shoot right over him. I think Porzingis is just a seamless fit here in Boston. The only thing elephant in the room, he's got to stay healthy. That's his only flaw. But other than that, Kristaps Porzingis has been nothing but a treat to watch. Highly efficient player as well. What did he shoot tonight on the floor?
13 of 19. Well, actually, I missed this. I apologize. This is on me. This was supposed to be put on before. My Missoula ramble went on for a little too long. But however, tonight, your player of the game, Kristaps Porzingis against the Atlanta Hawks tonight at home. Kristaps Porzingis, 31 points, only 3 rebounds, which feels a little off because I felt like he got more. 1 assist, 2 blocks, 2 of 4. Thank you. 2 of 4 from behind the arc, and 13 of 19 from the floor. I mean, really, Porzingis was all over the place tonight, Seamus.
Oh yes, and Kristaps Porzingis, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he miss this matchup the first time around at the Garden? I'm not studied on who was not in the game the last time around, but I remember there was a game in November where I was going, man, Porzingis would have been great for this matchup, and I thought he was absolutely phenomenal for this matchup against the Atlanta Hawks tonight because of the size matchup. At the Atlanta Hawks, looking at their big guys, they don't have a big guy as versatile as Kristaps Porzingis, and that's the same for a lot of other teams, but specifically for Atlanta, looking at all of their bigs, not too versatile of a core, plus they have a lack of size outside of their big man core. So if you get those switches out on the perimeter and really get Kristaps going, you see the mismatches that happen tonight. I'm so glad to see him only take 4 3-pointers because, yes, he can shoot over everyone on the Atlanta Hawks, but 4 3-pointers only on 19 shots, only 4 3-pointers, 15 twos in this game where you're facing a team that you need to go to the bucket against, where we saw other players on our team maybe didn't succeed at. Kristaps Porzingis deserves this player of the game and much more. And Justin, you said it, his health is going to be so important for the Celtics moving forward because I believe out of all of the players that exist on the Celtics roster, he is truly their X factor right now because if he went down, it would take an entire level off of their team.
Well, that's the thing. Watch the games and focus. When next time Kristaps Porzingis is out of the lineup, focus on the other players. Focus how different the Celtics look compared to when he's on the court with the Celtics. I'm glad you mentioned that's a very good point. He is just the total X factor. I know Drew Holiday is up there as well, but Kristaps Porzingis, and we mentioned it, Robin, in last podcast episode when we were talking about the potential All-Star snub with Kristaps Porzingis and the whole Scotty Barnes thing. It's like, listen, Porzingis is arguably the 3rd best player on this team, and he's putting up the numbers that he's putting up on the best team in the association, let alone the Eastern Conference, right? So that just goes to show you how important Kristaps Porzingis is to this team.
I think that when you look at how dynamic Kristaps is, it's a no-brainer. I mean, 31 points. I mean, what other player in the NBA, maybe Karl Anthony Towns, I'm thinking, can stretch the floor like he can. Again, when you got your center standing as a threat 30 feet out, that paint is nice and juicy. You got to attack it. Someone I do want to talk about Franco tonight, though, is Derek White. This dude, time and time again, delivers, especially in the clutch. The guy shoots over 50% from the 3 in clutch time, which is the last 5 minutes of the game. He did that again tonight. He had 9 points entering the 4th quarter and then poured on 12 points. He had 21 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds tonight, Franco. When you think of Derek White and what he does for the Celtics, how important is he going to be down the stretch in crunch time for the C's?
That's something that needs to be, back to your Missoula point, this is something that needs to be reflected. I mean, Derek White and Kristaps Porzingis have shown up for this team in the fourth quarter and clutch situations and have proven that they can take that burden off of Jason Tatum.
Right.
I mean, Jason Tatum is expected to be the front and center core guy, the guy you want to see get that buzzer beater shot that everyone will remember for the rest of his career. You can delay that and also spread that out because everyone is focused on him. Look at the 4 other options you have on the court for these types of moments. I mean, you pass it out to Kristaps Porzingis, who our player of the game tonight. I'll touch upon him. He was just a men upon boys, like in the paint. It looked like a creative player in 2K. Like when you put him at 7'7", I like 6'9" or young Okongwu like didn't really even stand a chance like guarding up against him down low, and it almost seemed like he was just in that position where he could just put his hands up and get the ball down low and create the opportunity for him to score with no problem. And
I think that when you look at White, I mean, because it's so funny, right, Franco? Because you just made like 3 great points with the crunch time, getting the ball to other players, with the man amongst boys with Kristaps, right? So it's like, it's funny because Justin says X Factor, and personally, if you know me, my X Factor is Drew Holiday, but I can't blame you for saying Kristaps because he's also probably the X Factor. And then Franco, from what you just said, it's the X Factor is also Derek White. So when you really take a look at the Celtics in totality, right, past the negative nitpicking stuff we brought up at the beginning of the show, that's what makes this team so dynamic. In a game in which you did not have your 2 best players really balling. I mean, Brown didn't play bad, honestly. 15 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, he knew he didn't have it, and I think he did a great job at, feeding other mouths that had it tonight. So quite frankly, I'm going to give Jaylen Brown an A performance. Sure, he only had 15 points, but he played a phenomenal role and understood what the assignment. Jason Tatum, you get a D. So that's what's so unique about this team, though, is that F. Sorry, I was being nice.
Because we won.
That's new, by the way. But again, so it's like that's the great part about this. But Seamus, I want to talk about certain someone with you, Al Horford.
Oh my God.
I said, and not Luke, not yet. Because we got a little new boy in town that might be taking Luke's minutes. But Al Horford, we're gonna go over him quickly because again, it's Mr. Average Al, right? We've seen this from Al Horford for 6 years in this green uniform in Beantown, Seamus. But again, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists what is he? 37? The guy doesn't age. Right? You're talking about LeBron's longevity. Well, there should be studies done on Al Horford's longevity.
Muscle Milk, best ad ever. Best ad ever. I mean, Muscle Milk, it works, folks. It works because Al Horford at 37, he's running up and down the floor with these younger NBA teams. And the Atlanta Hawks, they're the fastest team in the entire NBA. And Al Horford, I mean, he made it look easy out there running up and down the court with the Atlanta Hawks. And in this game, Al Horford, he could have stopped at halftime and we would have praised him in this contest. And of course, he plays the entirety of the game, does not score in the second half, but still adds to his assist total, adds to his rebounding total, and was still very involved down in the game, down the stretch where the team needed him to be, because this game was not over by any manner entering the fourth quarter. It was only a 5-point game, and Al Horford being that consistent presence for the Celtics at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and especially at the end. Al Horford has been a guy the Celtics cannot trade tomorrow at the trade deadline at all. And yes, his $10 million salary would give them some flexibility, but Al Horford, this game tonight against his former team, a revenge game, is a pure example as to why he is so important with this ball club. And Al Horford with the squad is, as we get Justin back on screen here, Al Horford tonight, this was a vintage Al Horford game. And every single time we get to see Al Horford play like this, I just want us to praise Al Horford and really appreciate him, because we have no idea how many days are left of Al Horford like this. But as he's playing right now, I don't know, guys, it might be a Brady moment for him in a couple of years where we realize, oh man, he's playing till his jersey number.
You know what? And I don't know if I've said this. I don't know if I've said this off camera or on camera, but I got this weird feeling that the playoffs are going to roll around, and Al Horford has been only playing 25 minutes a game, which is right around 7 minutes fewer a game, which is a whole quarter worth of basketball, guys, right? You might think that's not a lot, but 7 minutes is an entire quarter off that Al Horford's gotten this year. Something tells me, man, playoff Al Horford's, or, playoff Al, baby. I mean, come on, you guys know exactly what Jason Tatum thinks. So something tells me that playoff Al is going to be better than he's ever been. Something I do want to talk about is the Xavier Tillman. However, before I do, I want to take a look at the lead tracker tonight, guys, because I do think, the second half green is something we haven't seen this year.
Whoa.
And something that we also have had highlighted all year long. If you're new here, highlights are a big thing at Celtics Talk Weekly and readdressing them. It's the third quarters.
Yeah.
The third quarter, the Celtics were able to kind of swing the tide and hold on to that lead, which they eventually, pushed the lead further out into the fourth quarter, Justin. So tonight, what did you like to see the Celtics do in that third quarter that allowed them to push that lead?
Keep their foot on the gas pedal, right? And I think they were up by 4 at the half, Celtics were. So to keep that foot on the gas pedal and only extend the lead and only push it upwards, I thought that was really important. Did I not see an ounce, not even a little tiny ounce of red in that third quarter? Not even.
Let's just pull it back up.
Was there even an ounce of red in that fourth quarter? I don't think there was. So, I mean, this just, can we frame this? Can we do a freeze frame? Somebody screenshot it, save it? Because I don't think we'll ever see that again. Thank goodness we won this game, because if we finally won a third quarter like that and lost this game, I don't think we'd ever have a chance at winning anything. But that right there is the Celtics team that we need to see every single night. I understand it's hard to be great every single night, and I understand that that's just not going to happen throughout the course of an 82-game season. But we need to consistently start to see this third and fourth quarter wins by the Boston Celtics and only extend their lead from here and hold them at the same time. We've seen them play very well in the clutch this season, at least compared to last season. Listen, we're now getting to that point where we're past technically, games-wise, we're past the halfway point of the season. But I think we all called after the All-Star break the second half of the season. We're at that point now. We're at that point where next week is the All-Star break after a slate of games. And we're really starting to get towards playoff time now. We're going to see Xavier Tillman, who we're going to talk about. We're going to see him start to play. Al Horford, we saw 5 back-to-backs. Al Horford's going to start sitting out. Kristaps Porzingis might be starting to sit out. So it's like, these guys really have an opportunity to really build some good habits. You guys know I'm all about building good habits, maybe like Joe Mazzulla, building good habits towards playoff time. It is that time. Mazzulla stresses building good habits. Right. It's that time of year, guys. We're already 50-plus games into the regular season. It's no more, it's early in the season. Right now, it's now. We need to start seeing this consistency leading into the playoffs. It's going to come sooner rather than later.
If you're watching this, I'm assuming you know. But if you don't know, the Celtics sent 2 second-round picks along with Lamar Stevens to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Xavier Tillman. Now, guys, Tillman's an interesting guy because he kind of flashes shades of Grant Williams to me, a more athletic Grant. And this is going to I don't want for this to take up too much time, but I definitely want to talk about Xavier Tillman. I want to hear what everyone has to say. Personally speaking, I love the move. I think, again, you added without subtracting. Lamar, I'm sorry, you just weren't getting minutes. I think this is the third string big man that the Celtics were looking for. 6'7", 250, who can move in transition in the way he can, guys. In his 13 starts, I want to stress this. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.6 steals, and 0.8 blocks. The guy, when he starts, is almost averaging 3 steals a game. And mind you, there were two games when he started and only played 10 minutes. He got hurt. I mean, it's like Franco. I'm sorry, Justin. You go.
No, I was gonna say it's like okay, Celtics have their offense with Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, and then you get your defense with Xavier Tillman. You don't really
Right.
get that with Luke Cornett. Sorry, Seamus, but you don't, right? So it's like you don't get that. It's like this is like a not to compare him like player to player, but similar body type. Like he's like a bigger boned Robert Williams, where Robert Williams was an undersized center. He was not the tallest guy, but Xavier Tillman is a little bit bigger bone, and he's also 6'7", 6'8", so why are you guys all laughing?
I'm
Why
not.
is
All right. Well,
everybody laughing?
well,
Was that a
this is
Jack
something I want.
moment? Is that a Jack?
No. This is something that I want to talk to Seamus about because now I think we can being agreement. Gosh, we can agree on something. There we go. Get it out. Luke Cornett now fits into a role in which I love. I'm happy. I love. And again,
trade piece.
Well, no, because I don't think we're done seeing Luke Cornett. Don't get it twisted.
No.
If you think we're done seeing Luke Cornett, I think you're completely wrong. Because again, there are going to be games where Al Horford has to rest, and when Al Horford has to rest, you're going to slot Cornett back, right? And then when Kristaps, like, you're going to see more Luke Cornett this year. Don't think he's just gone.
Don't worry.
But you're going to see Luke Cornett, Seamus, in times in which it's going to work because he is in a position now to succeed.
Garbage.
I'm not so certain we're gonna see Luke Cornett anymore, honestly.
Really?
I'm not so certain.
Are we? So we're in a
now,
disagreement again now? It's flipped.
I was just thinking about this because I'm thinking 5 bigs makes no sense because Keita is a big man who should be on the roster. I don't know. I want to say that's an agreeable point. Maybe it's not. If one believes Cornett should be still on the roster and Keita should be still a two-way player. But what we've seen out of Keita in his minutes, I believe he deserves a standard spot. And under that scenario, he's the 4th big. And it's like, who's squeezed out? It's Luke Cornett. And I do see another team somewhere around the league. He's under a favorable salary. It's a very easy salary to move. He's under, $2 million salary right now. And I could see another team going, yeah, we could add to our big man core a little bit here. He's not the most versatile of bigs, but he knows the fundamentals of the game and will make the right decisions on both ends of the floor. And I could see him being a trade piece tomorrow for the Celtics, just a little bit, not one of tremendous value, but one maybe potentially that could get a deal done and send some salary over in a potential trade. So Luke Cornett, I am a Luke Cornett fan, don't get me wrong, but I'm also a fan of efficiency. And if the Celtics, if they plan on signing Keita to a standard spot and having Tillman on the roster, which is, of course, going to happen, Tillman is a tremendous add, I want to add as well. That, I believe, will squeeze out Luke Cornett.
So, Franco, I have a question for you real quick because the Celtics now are reported to not be done. They are still in the market, which you love to hear, but you figure big man moves already happened, so it's going to be a guard. So 2 things. 1, how do you like Tillman? 2, I want to hear a guard name in which someone you like on the market.
Well, Tillman, yard dog. That's what my old basketball coach used to call him. It's a center that is undersized, going up against people 4 or 5 inches taller than them and bodying them around the paint. It's a necessary add to this team. He's got grit to him. Want to know who he's reminding me of? But all 3 came to mind when I was watching the highlight film today.
Crazy.
Marcus Morris, Grant Williams.
I actually like that.
And Robert Williams. I can see a hybrid mix of both of those in him, and that's going to be a huge add, and it's going to kind of be interesting because it's going to be an either-or situation. They can put Keita back down to the G League and keep Cornett around, so
which I think is going to happen. My pick.
Yeah, I don't think they could get rid of Cornett without tears being shed during that practice tomorrow. Come on, if Brad walked in there during practice tomorrow and is like, hey, Luke, pack your bags. You're heading
Brad
to...
be the one crying. He's the biggest Luke Cornett fan
Yeah.
ever, dude. You kidding me?
Well,
This is harder for him to trade Luke Cornett than it was to trade Smart, Robert Williams, and Malcolm Brogdon.
I think a knock on the Celtics this year has been their intensity. I think Tillman is not afraid to get up in your face and let you know how he's feeling. I mean, there's a clip and Seamus, you posted. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Him and Kyrie going at it. First of all, fits right into Boston, right?
I'm buying his jersey.
But second of all, I think that intensity is something that Boston was lacking. Was a guy that is not afraid to just kind of play with some physicality and the Garden crowd. I mean, Tatum says it. The Garden crowd absolutely eats that up. You get physical, you get personal. You give it a little. The KG used to pound his chest and bang his head on the back. Like you do stuff like that. The knuckle push-ups. That's what gets the Boston crowd going. So I really think Tillman, not just from a basketball standpoint, right? I think it was a great addition, but I also think from the little things, from an intensity and a physicality standpoint, they nailed it. And I really think that, again, does it move the needle from the Celtics not winning the championship to winning the championship? No. But what it does is, one, it adds depth. Because I think right now he's probably the 7th best player. He's probably better than Hauser as an all-around player. And it also, right, it gives you a lot of flexibility now. It does. You can run out. If you want to run some small ball, you can run small ball and defensively be, oh my God. I mean, the White, Brown, Tatum, Tillman lineup with Holiday out there, that could cause some defensive problems, man.
With,
the switch
with
ability
too.
Right. And you can now run that. And I'm praying this happens, run switch coverage, which is something that is much better. And quite frankly, that's what made the Celtics defensively so great in that 2020 year. It would be switch everything. It would be screen switch, off ball screen, you're switching it, on ball screen, you're switching it. Right. And I think Tillman brings that defensive versatility.
I believe he does as well. And I think off the bench, it's a huge difference when you put it in the light of, imagine going up against the Philadelphia 76ers in the playoffs and Joel Embiid. Imagine bringing Cornett off the bench as your third big versus now Tillman. And then potentially, if we do keep Cornett, still having Cornett right behind him, that's definitely a more versatile option to have off the bench and more ways you can play than what we originally had before today. And we talk about it all season long. This Celtics team, their ability to play multiple ways is what makes them elite at times. Because in that Indiana game we saw last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, right? That game, the Indiana Pacers were running up and down the floor. But once the Celtics could go and play their way in the fourth quarter, in which I thought they did in moments tonight, not necessarily quite in the fourth quarter, but at different stages of the game, rather, the Celtics were able to win those moments. And in the playoffs, with Tillman now on the roster, they're only going to have more ability to do that against more elite opponents going forward. So this Tillman ad for Lamar Stevens, Franco, I know you love Lamar Stevens, but let's face it, this guy was getting 0 minutes. He's a forward. He's slotted behind 2 all-star elite forwards, another forward off the bench in O'Shea Brissett and Sam Hauser, 2 forwards off the bench and Sam Hauser and O'Shea Brissett. Wasn't getting any minutes whatsoever. That was an easy salary swap, made our roster better, and gave the Celtics the ability to go out and make other deals as well, while also adding at a position we thought was going to be the priority coming into the deadline. Now, the Celtics, I don't want to say they have an embarrassment of riches now to go out and do anything, because there are still limitations and they're going to have to move some pieces. But the fact they were able to land Tillman today at such a cheap cost and still have some of the resources available. We think about the Grant TPE. We think about some of the other salaries at the back end. I know I talked about Cornett earlier. All of those resources are still around for the Celtics to go out and make another move. And under those circumstances, the Celtics are going to grow into quite a good team potentially after this deadline if there's another move made.
Right, not 6 second-round picks to move as well.
Not that this matters, but does anybody feel like Svi Mikhailuk is just for sure gone? Like, how is you don't?
I don't
like.
Call
I
me
just
crazy, but
Svi,
and again,
why are you picking on Svi? What about
listen,
O'Shea?
only because
These two.
Whoa, dude.
Locker room.
Whoa,
Locker room
don't go there. I'll square up with me right now. I'll fight for O'Shea right now on the pod.
Dude, you know how much content we would lose with O'Shea traded?
I religiously watch his YouTube videos off sides. But hold on, guys, because I don't think that Boston they have an open roster spot, first of all. And they have the Grant Williams TPE. And again, this is stuff I want to talk about tomorrow, but we're going to braze over it. And then Seamus, I want you to, get those glasses prepared. But two names, right? You got $6.7 million to play with that TPE. You got 6 second-round picks. You got a couple first-round picks. Couple names, Lonnie Walker, right? The Sadiq Bey. There's guys out there who teams, I think this deadline is going to be a fire sale of just random players. I think you're just going to see is fire sale, second round picks, picks.
The whole Detroit Pistons roster is gone.
Right, like you're just going to see players just getting sold and sold. Atlanta's probably going to be one of them. Chicago might be one of them, right? Indiana's looking to add. LA's looking to add. I mean, you got San Antonio's kind of in this weird spot. You got Washington that probably is going to give up Tyus Jones. You have all these players on the move, right? I mean, the Warriors are looking to get. I mean, Philly is looking to do something now with Embiid and uncertainty. They got this big, excuse my language, this big contract with Tobias Harris sitting on their. On their books with a really easy move, an expiring deal with $40 million. You can swap that easily. So it's going to be interesting. That is why you have to tune in to the trade deadline special right back here. Seamus, get those glasses ready, man. I want to.
Oh, Franco, you got to cue this music. Here we go. I know you got your soundboard available to you right now. You got to cue this music. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I leave for 2 games.
Oh yeah.
I had 2. It was only 2 games.
All right. We're into the breakdowns. First breakdown here. Let's see if we can get these pulled up without graphical error. But first breakdown here, Celtics offensive possession. And this is really an example of how bad the Atlanta Hawks are in transition and how the Celtics took advantage of the mismatches tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Right now, this is pretty well in transition. I know it looks like it's in the half court, but the offensive set just came to fruition. And look at the top of the key right now. Atlanta, what are you guys doing? What happened with this matchup up here? Okongwu is on Derek White, and look who is on Luke Cornett, Mr. Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks star, who happens to be 6 foot tall and about the same size as the rest of us. And progressing this along here, can you guys see the next play on screen right now? Is this next play on screen? Let's see if we can get it up here. Oh, nope. See, graphical error here. Let's see if we. Oh, no. We got this. There we go. Cutting down the lane. Luke Cornett, of course, is wide open in the lane, and Atlanta is trying to switch this and scram Trae Young off of Luke Cornett. And while they're doing that, Kristaps Porzingis recognizes Luke Cornett cutting down to the lane and throws him a pass. And what happens from this is Luke Cornett, he catches the pass, and Atlanta, they're too late to this switch, and they foul him immediately instead of giving him an open bucket. They actually had this covered all right, but because it was so hectic, they went ahead and fouled him, and Luke Cornett got to the free throw line. And that's just an example of how the Atlanta Hawks, matching up in transition, and the Celtics taking advantage of that. That's how the Celtics were able to get ahead in parts of this game. Going to the next film here, and I think we have another error on my side now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is Jason Tatum in the first half. This includes one of Jason Tatum's 3 attempts inside the 2-point arc at halftime, or in the first half rather. And Jason Tatum entered halftime with, I believe, 8 3-point attempts and 3 2-point attempts, if I'm not mistaken. And this was one of his 3 2-point attempts. Jason Tatum has Trae Young on a mismatch right here. Jalen Johnson is in backside help, and Jason Tatum gives him a little jab step, but goes. And Jalen Johnson is completely leaning the wrong way. He was leaning more towards O'Shea Brissett in the corner. And right now, Jason Tatum, this is why we want to get Jason Tatum on mismatches and get him going downhill and attacking defenses. Because right here, Trae Young, this is why I don't believe Trae Young can be an all-star or an all-time great player. Because look at this resistance. Come on. Right. Come on, Trae Young. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. 6'10" Jason Tatum, yes, against 6-foot Trae Young, but there's no resistance whatsoever. Jason Tatum is going straight downhill here. Jalen Johnson is not in the ideal position to come and meet him at the rim. And right now, Jason Tatum has either O'Shea Brissett on a cut to the rim or Sam Hauser potentially on the wing for three, or if he relocates while Garrison Matthews is looking at the ball, he'll have a corner three. But Jason Tatum on this attempt takes it straight to the rim and just finishes on Jalen Johnson. He doesn't even need to hit the cut because you see Garrison Matthews, he defends the cut right here. Sam Hauser is open from beyond the arc, but Jason Tatum takes it straight up against Jalen Johnson because we saw on this last screenshot right here, this one, Jalen Johnson is not in the ideal position to come and meet Jason Tatum at the rim. He's leaning too far towards O'Shea Brissett, and he's really in no man's land because he didn't cover Brissett, and now he has to cover Tatum, and Tatum is going straight, driving straight into him while he has to recover from leaning over to Brissett. So Jason Tatum attacking this and really creating himself options and just finishing over. This is what Jason Tatum can do to make himself such a dominant player. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this breakdown right here, Jason Tatum only took 3 two-point attempts in the first half, while Trae Young played 17 minutes in the first half. 17 minutes. And you saw the mismatch that happened at the beginning of this. So for this to transpire in the Celtics offense, in between, it cannot happen. Right. We need to see more of this.
Can we go back real quick? I want to just point something out. I hate to interrupt you here, but I think this is why hold on, let me pull it up here. This right here. Okay. This is what makes O'Shea Brissett so special. He does not stand and watch. He realizes that everyone's head, look where it's at. Pointed at Jason Tatum, pointed at that mismatch. When we say drive, we don't mean just drive and take a layup. We mean drive and collapse the defense, because then O'Shea Brissett has the elite ball knowledge and the wherewithal and, remind you, the effort to then go dive to the rim. So if Tatum can now has the option to, now he's on a one-on-one situation with Jalen Johnson where he can finish at the rim, or look at the dump down. Brissett has the inside leverage on Garrison Matthews and has him sealed. If it's a bounce pass or a little handoff, you got you got Johnson in the air and an easy 2 for Brissett.
It's also an offensive rebound if Tatum bricks it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm going to point out, too, this makes it so much harder for the Atlanta Hawks to cover the different options as well for the Celtics, because instead of standing out on the perimeter like most guys do in the NBA, if Brissett does that, Garrison Matthews has Brissett and Sam Hauser split. So under that circumstance, he's going to have a better contest at the 3. And like you said, Rob, he's aggressive at attacking. Brissett is aggressive at attacking the rim right here. Garrison Matthews has to pay attention to him, gains leverage on him. And not only that, but in this situation, if Tatum really had to, he could pass out to Sam Hauser for 3. And that's all because Brissett collapsed right here. So excellent observation on Brissett. And yes, this is why I believe Brissett, he could be a keeper at the trade deadline, because the Celtics, they need more players like this on their roster. Yes, he's not the most skilled with the ball in his hands, but this right here, this breakdown, I believe is, yes, a great example of why O'Shea Brissett does add something to the Celtics. Now, going on to the next breakdown here, I'm going to pick on Sam Hauser. Now, I sent you guys a text about Sam Hauser halfway through this game, and Sam Hauser defensively, he's eating at me, guys. He's eating at me because I believe, yes, he's improved defensively, but I still don't believe he's all that great of a defender. And this play right here exemplifies that. Sam Hauser is in a good position right now to stop the ball. He is. He's in a good position to stop this from going towards the rim. And what happens is Sam Hauser's closeout is absolutely horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And this right here, he's basically standing straight up. I mean, this is not This is not good guarding stance. This is not feet apart. This is not. Now, he does have some active hands here. I will give him that. But his torso is too up in the air. His ass is too up in the air. He has to get down. He has to spread his feet. He has to get down in a defensive stance right here and really make this closeout. Instead, he's too far up. He's way too far up right here. And he doesn't gain leverage against the ball handler, which is Saddiq Bey right here. He gets up into him, but look at his feet and look at where he's at and look at where Saddiq Bey is at. He's too far up into him and too far up to the side. Sam Hauser is not in control and not keeping Saddiq Bey in front of him right here because Saddiq Bey is making the move around him. And this is part of his crappy closeout. And as we progress this along, Saddiq Bey is just going to go right around Sam Hauser because Saddiq Bey can create that outside leverage when Sam Hauser isn't in that down stance, in that stance where your base is controlling yourself instead of your top and your bottom going wherever you need to go. Your base is controlling your abs and your ass. Sam Hauser doesn't do that right here and is completely beat off the dribble. And what does it cause? Luke Cornett is in good help right here and prevents the layup. But look at that. Wide open corner three for Onyeka Okongwu. And he hits it. Cornett, good contest on it. And that's
Can I hop in one more time? I'm sorry, but I'm seeing some things that I'm liking. So you talk about this right here, the closeout. Not only was this a bad closeout, Seamus, but Kristaps is right next to him in close side help. You have to push Saddiq Bey into that help. You cannot, the one direction you cannot allow him to go is where eventually you allowed him to go, which
and
is
look at Derek White too.
Right.
He's not looking at this play at all. Look, Saddiq Bey goes right around him, not looking at him at all.
Derek White's matched up on Trae Young here. That's why his head's turned. And then that's the attention that Trae Young brings. But you allow Saddiq Bey into the middle of the court, which forces Cornett over to help, right? Cornett's doing his thing. Onyeka, who isn't a great three-point shooter, but again, that's my point is Hauser needs to have the attention to details to know that if you're guarding Saddiq Bey and you got Kristaps Porzingis to the left of you, you have to force him into that double team, into that help, because you have help there. Don't let him go into the middle of the court.
Right, and he let him go right to the middle. And like I said, too, Derek White's not there to help because his head is turned. And you said it, too, he's turned on Trae Young right there. So Sam Hauser, this is a terrible closeout that leads to a wide open three, and which was made. And yes, Okongwu, not the best of three-point shooters, but it's still an open three. And against another team, you'd have to imagine that would be a better three-point shooter potentially out there. Or even in this situation, if you have a legitimate point guard getting downhill with speed and a big guy who can go up and catch a lob, that's likely ending in a lob as well. So this defensive possession, not the greatest for the Celtics and Sam Hauser at all. And moving along here, this is a Celtics offensive possession I am not a fan of at all, and they could have certainly got a better look and opportunity out of this. So right here, Sam Hauser has the ball in his hands, and Peyton Pritchard, he's cutting over to the wing, and he's going to receive this ball in his hands. And Kristaps Porzingis right here, Pritchard, look at all of that space on the right side of the court to Pritchard, right? Look at all that space in the corner right there. Pritchard, when he gets this ball, he needs to attack this because Okongwu, he's not in good defensive stance right now. Bey, he's being slightly screened. He's being a little nudged there by Kristaps Porzingis, and he's going to be nudged off his line. Pritchard, he's already running forward. He needs to attack this space right here because if he truly gets downhill, he's either going to get a layup or he's going to get a lob to Luke Cornett standing right there in the dunker spot when that help man eventually has to come over and stop that layup. He's either going to give up a wide open layup right here or come over and stop it and give up a wide open dunk if Pritchard attacks this going downhill. But look what happens. Look at this. What happened? What happened, Pritchard? What is this? There should not be a catch and a wait. There was a catch and a wait because right here, if he catches this on the run and goes straight downhill,
right,
he's attacking. He's going to the rim, and this is ending in a bucket. Instead, he stops, hesitates, waits, an extra 2 dribbles. Look what happens. Look what happens. Saddiq Bey is in great guarding position in front of him now, has great positioning on him. And he's waiting for this Kristaps Porzingis screen now, except he doesn't use it because he realizes all of this space all of a sudden over on this end of the floor. And now he wants to attack it. Look, Peyton Pritchard now wants to attack the space. He realizes, oh man, I have all this space over here. Now I want to attack it. Now I want to attack it, right? Well, Peyton Pritchard, he dribbles right into a double team right here. And yes, we do get a relatively open three off of this attempt when he finds Sam Hauser from beyond the arc. But this is a fairly good contest by Patty Mills when he rotates over there. And this could have been a much easier attempt at the bucket instead of a hectic break down the defense three, which is contested at the end of the day. And it's all due to Peyton Pritchard not attacking this and going downhill. This simply needs to be attacked with intent. You need to catch this ball and go downhill. Instead, it's a hesitation. It's, oh, let me wait for the screen. It's, oh, now I can go downhill. Oh, no, Saddiq Bey's in front of me. And three. And that's why the Celtics take 49 three-pointers on some nights, because they attack these opportunities like so. It's absolutely ridiculous. I just realized we had more breakdowns here. I thought I was honestly done, but we have more breakdowns here. And this is in transition for the Celtics defense. I have been harping on the transition defense for a minute now, ever since the Clippers game and since we started breakdowns. But this is another transition opportunity where the Celtics, does somebody want to stop ball right here? Anybody want to stop ball? Anybody want to communicate? We have three guys looking at the ball, but Luke Cornett, he has to cover the roll man going down to the lane right here, the cutter going down to the lane, Bruno Fernando, our former guy in Boston. Derek White, he has somebody in the corner. He's not pictured on screen, but there's a shooter in the corner for Atlanta that he has to cover. And right now, Al Horford and Pritchard, that means you guys are essentially on the ball here because Jason Tatum also has a shooter in the corner. So who is stopping ball? Al Horford or Peyton Pritchard? Somebody, please go get ball.
Is it going to be Luke Cornett? That's my guess.
No, it's going to be all three of them, actually. It's going to be all three of them, and there's a trail man who is just standing at the three-point line, and Jalen Johnson wide open for three right here. And look at that Cornett contest. Woo! Cornett! Look at that Cornett contest.
You trade that. How could you trade that?
Shot of that Cornett contest, but not quite effective out there when you're that far away. And the Celtics, this is because they didn't pick up in transition from right here, and no one picked up the ball correctly, and everybody sank towards the ball. And I do want to give some credit to the ball handler in this situation, because he drove this opportunity. He could have easily, walked the ball up, stood on the perimeter, taken a couple of dribbles, slowed down the offense. But no, he attacks this. The Celtics collapse on it, and it's a wide open.
Is that Trae Young?
Corner.
That's Trae Young, I think.
I believe it is. Yes. I don't know why I thought it was Saddiq Bey at first, but yes, Trae Young. And so our last one here, going along, this is on offense for the Celtics, and this is in the fourth quarter as Jason Tatum and Derek White got going. And this one's actually the second iteration of this. This is the first screenshot of this play. Derek White, the Hawks are in man right here, and the Celtics are in transition. They're in that semi-transitional state at this point. And Derek White, he drives the lane right here. Garrison Matthews is on him. Garrison Matthews, a couple inches shorter than Derek White, and Derek White drives straight into his chest, collapse the defense right here, and you see Jason Tatum's defender is completely off kilter. He's not in a good defensive stance whatsoever. He has to recover to Tatum, and Tatum recognizes this and goes straight into his chest, into the lane. Garrison Matthews has to meet him in the lane, and look who's wide open for three on the perimeter. Derek White, who is absolutely massive in the fourth quarter of this game.
Seamus, let me hop in.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I say this is why Tatum needs to drive, again, look at the eyeballs. I wish I had a marker here. So Trae Young, eyes on Tatum. Matthews, obviously, eyes on Tatum. Fernando trailing, eyes on Tatum. Jalen Johnson in help, eyes on Tatum. Everyone. When Tatum is in the green area, in the paint, eyes are always on him. And he has the IQ and the intangibles now to find Derek White, to find kick out. That is why when Tatum takes threes, those pull-up threes, he is bailing the defense out. He's a phenomenal passer. 7 assists, 3 turnovers. That's a good ratio. The eyes are on you, JT. Just get in the paint and find the open teammate, which I'm sure this is a kick out Derek White 3.
And right here, this is the 3-point attempt the Celtics want to take. Wide open kick out. Because some of the other threes the Celtics take, philosophically, they're not good. They're not good whatsoever. If you're saying, oh, we need to take 53s a game if you're Joe Mazzulla, you don't want to take half of them from a contested state. If you want to take 53s a game, you want to figure out how to generate 50 of these per game. If the Celtics could do that, I'm all for them taking 50 of these shots per game. But let's be real. They don't do that each game, but they have the ability to create an abundance of these shots. And this is an example of it right here. Next one, as we go along here, this is actually the first iteration of that play. And I believe this is the last one. This Celtics defense, I know Al Horford had a great night, but we have to pick on him a little bit right here. We got to get up on this. I was picking up on Al Horford. I was picking on Al Horford a little bit for the same thing last game because he's just standing at the top of the paint right here and giving away all of this space in drop coverage. And there's going to be a time where this where the ball handler, DeAndre Hunter, drives into Al Horford and that paint is taken away a little bit. And right here, DeAndre Hunter, he is given a running start at Al Horford. And what happens? Al Horford gives up land to DeAndre Hunter. And we talk about this in the NBA around certain players. It's about getting to your spots and getting to where you're comfortable. And right here, DeAndre Hunter, this ends in a possession where DeAndre Hunter gets to one of his spots and just finishes over Al Horford. Now, the final screenshot isn't here, but DeAndre Hunter in this first screenshot, if he's picked up more at the top of that circle there's more pressure put on him. There's less of a likelihood he gets downhill here and gets to a spot, or he gets to a spot in which it's a more awkward shot. He's spinning the opposite way from where he was going. He might not want to shoot from the other end of the floor from where he was driving. So right here, Al Horford giving him all this space and letting him go downhill, DeAndre Hunter gets to where he wants to go and makes a shot over Al Horford. And Al Horford, he had a tremendous night. Don't get me wrong. But this is part of what the Celtics need to do better, and that is just their spacing and picking up better.
And you know what, Seamus?
In this coverage right here.
Real quick, before we're done here, this is what Xavier Tillman's going to bring you. He's going to be able to step up. He's going to be able to switch. He's going to be able to guard that. He's not going to give that up. So you talk about what are we getting from Xavier Tillman? We're getting this defensive ability to stop this play right here, time and time again. And that's really important for the Celtics. And again, that's why that Xavier Tillman Xavier Tillman move is so important. But again, guys, thank you so much for joining us live here for Celtics Talk Weekly Postgame Show. Celtics, they win a good one at home tonight, 125-117. Obviously, we dissected a lot about it. Again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, trade deadline special, man. Catch us right back here on the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube account. We're going to be live all the way through, right through the 3 o'clock deadline, and then a little bit after, too. We're going to dissect and talk about everything. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chilled back. It's going to be late, whatever you're doing, whether you're, you're on your break at work or you're in the car, right, wherever you are, turn it on, listen, watch it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're breaking the news live.
Watch us in the car, folks. Do it. Put us up. Big screen.
Right? So, again, guys, thank you so much. I'm Rob. Next to me is my man, Nick Franco. Below me is my boy, Justin Lowe. And right next to him is my man, Seamus Zarlingo. Guys, until next time, go Seas.